So I entered the 2025 One Piece New Year event at my local game store, and it was both incredibly stressful but insanely fun. And this is how it went. Hey yo, I'm Xena Sushi, and while my original intentions wasn't to join the One Piece New Year event in the first place, as I was playing decks that weren't super meta, cough cough, purple black Luffy, it was worth participating just to get good practice. My goal is to one day win my invite to Worlds, but to do this, I have to start small. I heard of the event and signed up, but wasn't even sure if I could get in as the event was already full at my local game store and will be betting on getting in through the waitlist. If there was even the slightest chance I could get in, would it be worth it to prepare for this with only a week left before the event? I think it's worth a shot. For most events, it's important to understand that playing the deck you have the most comfort and practice with will typically give you the best shot at doing your best. After all, you can't really ask a Pokemon trainer to win a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament. They will need plenty of time and training to be able to achieve something like that. Regardless, before all this, I've been testing with Purple Black Luffy for months as my main project. The deck establishes big bodies like 10 cost Gear 5 Luffy, 8 cost Gecko Moria, and 9 cost Rush Kaido, while also having the ability to play really strong draw cards like 4 cost Frankie and 1 cost Gum Gum Giant. Purple decks can typically make you return Dawn back into the Dawn deck in return for powerful effects, but that is where the power of this leader comes in. If you return 2 or more Dawn cards to the Dawn deck, you can play 2 Dawn back to your field, 1 active and 1 rested. This completely removes the downside of using -2 Dawn effects and even returns 1 active to play something else or attack. But the deck does have one big weakness: its consistency. I can't guarantee the cards I draw to be counter when defending, or high cost cards when developing board, or ramp cards in the early game. Out of the 3 cards that ramp you Dawn, which are 3 cost Zoro, 3 cost Black Maria, and 4 cost Mr. 2 Bonkure, only the Zoro is searchable by 1 cost Law, and these are cards that I need to see at my 3 Dawn turn to play as optimal as possible. When compared to a leader like Purple Luffy, who has a leader ability to ramp Dawn on his own and doesn't need to play ramp characters, it's incredibly inconsistent. The rest of the meta decks are just too fast and too consistent for me to keep up. After testing at locals various times and realizing this, I came to the conclusion that I'm in big trouble. I did all that testing for months just to have to throw it all away. I have 1 day left to come up with a solution to the deck for the event. With the situation getting more dire by the minute, I realize I can't do this alone. I call up my friend Nick in the evening to see if he can help me figure out what I should do. Thankfully, he was also playtesting for the same event and we met up. After some testing and trying to figure out an idea to fix Purple Black Luffy, we realized that there's just nothing I can do to fix the problems the deck is having currently. With a heavy heart and reluctance, I dropped Purple Black Luffy. I love the deck so much, but right now, I just have to wait for better cards to come out that could fix the deck, which now leaves the question: what will I play? I need a deck that is consistent and that I'm comfortable with and that I've practiced before. I had been playing the same deck for 2 months now. How can I be practiced with any other deck? I'm panicking and frustrated and just completely out of ideas. After some thinking though, the deck I was playing before all my testing with Purple Black Luffy was Delphi, and that might just be my solution. Don Quixote is the best deck of the format, and it's one where I have unique experience with since I played it back in set 1. I already have all the cards from the starter deck that boosted the deck's power. Now I just need to practice. With Nick's dedication to blue decks like Boa Leader and experience with current builds of Delphi, we should be able to build a deck strong enough to win the tournament. The only problem was getting the practice I need. The clock is ticking. We need to move fast. Thanks to Nick, I get as much practice as possible and teaches me everything he can about the deck. We practice for the rest of the day till 2 AM versus his Boa and discussing other matchups. But more important than all the work we're doing, we need to make sure to rest as well. So we call it a night. Now, Nick and me are in the same boat. We both are on the wait list for the New Year's event, but we did learn an important piece of information. Our local store hosting the event stated that waitlists would go by first come first serve basis, meaning that if Nick and me get there early enough, we can be the first in the wait list and almost guarantee entry into the event. So we planned last night to meet at the store at 11 AM to do just that. The event doesn't start until 2 PM, so I can also get more time to practice for the event. I wake up early, my girlfriend helps me get some breakfast, and I head to the venue, write my name down, and continue last minute testing with Nick. 2 PM strikes after all the testing, and they call me and Nick up saying that we made it into the event. And this was the moment I realized everything is falling into place. I got into the event, got to a point where I feel comfortable with the deck. I was feeling confident for most matchups as well. I couldn't have asked for a better situation considering the circumstances. Now I just have to get into the mindset and play to the best of my ability. There was 32 people for the event, meaning the tournament is cut to a top 8 and is a best of 1 match, meaning one game decided the winner of the round. Now for the event. There's a special tournament pack with some pretty good cards with a special stamp for the event, and I kind of just completely forgot we get these for the entry. I hear that apparently there's some expensive card thing in these packs, but I never really paid attention to these as I've always had terrible luck with opening packs. So I just open a pack like any other entry pack since my mindset is on the game in front of me. My hands get cold. I double take and looked at what I pulled. Oh my god, I pulled the Serial Luffy. I pulled the card. The card that I had no idea about because I was so focused on just doing well at tournament, and I just pulled it out of only 1,000 copies in the world. Honestly, I wasn't sure what to say. I was speechless. So much that it broke my mindset that I've been trying so hard to maintain. It's an honor to be the owner of such a card, but I still have a tournament to play. I set aside my emotions for now and focus on the task ahead of me. Keep in mind, I'm going to be reciting the gameplay from memory for all these rounds, so apologies in advance if I get anything wrong. Now, I do have to bring up my deck list for the event. This is the Doflamingo deck that I'm playing. Besides the lack of 6-cost Jerzu and the addition of a single 0-cost Gum Gum Rain and 2k counter Kaya for added consistency and defense, there's nothing really special about this list. Doflamingo is really strong because the leader ability lets me attack for 7,000 power while also playing 4-cost Warlord characters off the top of my deck. And these Warlords on play can either draw you a card, play a card from hand, stack the top 3 of your deck, and attach Arrested, and even return a character on your board and return a 4 or less on board. You max out these cards at 4 so that leader ability is as consistent as possible. Other cards like Perona and Buggy will help you stack the top cards of your deck, letting you plan up to 3 turns ahead with what you will draw and what you will play off leader ability. There is a lot of skill expression with this deck and can be very easy to play but very hard to master without some practice. Let the tournament begin. My first round was against Purple Luffy, the deck that's supposed to be so much more consistent and stronger than my Purple Black Luffy that I was so desperately trying to make work. Thankfully, this was a bad matchup for Purple Luffy because of how many characters I could spam early on. I win the Dairo and elect to go first. Go ahead and go 1 Dawn, play Sengoku, like at the top 5, add a 2k counter Crocodile, and then pass turn. Then my opponent proceeds to 2 Dawn, plays the 1-drop Law, looks at top 4, and adds a 2k Sanji. He plays another 1-drop Law, looks at another top 4 to add any 2-drop or higher Straw Hat or Heart Pirates card. Adds a 4-cost Search Zora and then proceeds to pass his turn. Then I go to 3 Dawn. I go ahead and play 2-cost Teach, use the ability, and stacking a 4-cost Jinbei to the top of my deck. Then attaching 2 Rested to leader, swinging 7, paying 1 for leader ability, playing 4-cost Jinbei that I stacked earlier, and then playing a 4-cost Weevil, drawing me a Sengoku. And now 7 at life, my opponent takes the hit, and I pass for turn. My opponent then proceeds to draw a card for turn. The restand is done. Go to 4 Dawn. He proceeds to attack me for 5 with leader. I go ahead and give him the same Sengoku he searched. And then he proceeds to play a 4-cost Zoro to search the top 5 for any Straw Hat. He proceeds to add a 9-drop Rush Luffy. Pass his turn. I restand all my cards. Draw a card for turn. And then head to 5 Dawn. So at this situation, I realized that since I have the 2-cost Teach, and he does have a hand of 7 cards, my best play here is to actually play Pudding to shuffle that hand in and try to go for as many 7s as I can with what's on my board. So I proceed to do that. Press 4 Dawn to play 4-cost Pudding, shuffling my opponent's hand and making him draw 5 new cards. I go ahead and rest my Jinbei to swing 5 into leader. My new objective now is to try to grind out that hand as much as I can. Counters with Eustace Kid. I go ahead and swing 6 with Weevil. He proceeds to counter with a 2k. I'll use Teach ability, stacking in a Jinbei. Swinging 7 at life, playing the Jinbei stacked, removing the Sengoku on board, and playing the 2-cost Croc, the 2k Croc that I added earlier. He proceeds to take the hit, leaving him at 3 cards in life. My opponent proceeds to go to his 6 Dawn turn, then chooses to simply swing with the Zoro into my Jinbei, which I go ahead and let through, as my hand size isn't very large right now either, as I only have 1 card in hand. My opponent then rests his leader to attack into my Jinbei. which I let through as well. My opponent proceeds to put 5 Dawn under his Law and swinging into my Weevil. And then my opponent passes turn, leaving 1 Dawn up. I proceed to unrest my cards, draw my card for turn, and I go now into my 7 Dawn turn. Now in this situation, he has 5 cards in his hand. So I need to consider what's the best route to take here, either to continue grinding his hand out or to hit his life and essentially put him in a position where if he doesn't set up blockers, he'll lose the game. So I go ahead and attach 2 Dawn to my 2 cost each, and I swing 5 into life. And then my opponent proceeds to counter with a 1k. I go ahead and swing 7 more into life using the croc, and he proceeds to take life. Then I go 7 more into life using leader, paying 1 for leader ability, and revealing a buggy. Buggy on play lets me look at the top 3 and stack it to the top of the deck in any order. Keep in mind that his ability is mandatory to stack on the top. My opponent proceeds to 2k and 1k to get out of the Dofi swing. I pass my turn. My opponent then proceeds to go to his 8 Dawn turn with 4 cards in hand now after drawing for turn. He swings 2 into my buggy with his Law, and I go ahead and let it through. He swings 5 into my Teach. I go ahead and let that through as well. My opponent proceeds to attach 1 Dawn into his Zora, and then swinging 7 into my Crocodile. My Crocodile is now dead, and has now left me with no cards on my board. He proceeds to tap 4 Dawn, and then plays a Bonkure, which now ramps him 1 active Dawn, giving him another 4 Dawn to work with this turn. Then he proceeds to attach 3 Dawn into his Law, and attacks me for 5 at life. In this situation, it wouldn't make sense for me not to take the hit, considering the fact that I have no cards in hand right now. It would be really helpful to replenish that hand. Now my opponent passes, goes back to me. I go ahead and ramp 2 Dawn, putting me at my 9 Dawn turn. And now in this situation, my opponent seems to have 3 cards in hand, which is not a terrible situation. So I go ahead and proceed to swing 9 to try to bait out the Gum Gum Giant. I play Weevil off the top of my deck and then draw 1 card off of him. And my opponent proceeds to do Gum Gum Giant. He minuses 2 Dawn, which also slows him down by 1 turn, and discards a Luffy Taro to draw 2 more, and then counters a 2k. I proceed to play a 4-drop Mihawk, as right now the important thing for me is to make sure that I establish a board so I can try to go for game or clear board on the following turn. I pass my turn. My opponent then draws his card for turn, and then goes to his back to his 8 Dawn turn. My opponent proceeds to attack with the Zorduro into my Weevil, and I decide to 1k counter using my Sengoku. He swings 6, copying my Weevil power using his Bonkure, attacking 6 into 6, which I proceed to 1k again. Then my opponent attaches 1 Dawn under his Luffy leader. He attaches 2 Dawn under his Luffy leader and swings 7 into my Weevil, and I proceed to 2k counter with only 1 card left in hand on my end. Then he proceeds to play Luffy Taro for 7, and then playing a Search Zoro. Search Zoro on play looks at top 5, and off the top 5 he adds a Usohachi 2k counter and passes turn. Then I proceed to restand my characters. I proceed to draw my card for turn, and then reach my 10 Dawn turn finally. So now in my head I'm thinking, he has only 2 cards in hand right now and no blockers whatsoever. So there is a slight possibility in this situation that I could go for game if all 3 of my hits can go through and I manage my Dawn properly to play around the cards in his hand. So I proceed to attach 1 to Weevil and swinging 7 at life, which mathematically will require either the 2 cards out of his hand or take the life. My opponent chooses to take the life, which tells me that he's either trying to save the cards off his hand or he doesn't have the counter. So I proceed to attack even bigger just in case. So I attach 4 Dawn into Mihawk and swing 9 into life. Now Mihawk's effect is mandatory when Dawn is attached to him to draw 2 and trash 2. So I obligatorily have to take that. Then my opponent decides to take the hit for the 9k swing, and I go ahead and throw 10 Dawn into leader and just swing 10 at life. My opponent then proceeds to counter out of it, and I pass turn. Then my opponent now reaches his 10 Dawn turn. He proceeds to swing with Bonkure. He proceeds to swing to the Mihawk, copying the Weevil power. I go ahead and let the Mihawk through. Then he proceeds to attack with his 4-cost Zorduro into the Weevil, and I go ahead and let that through as well. He proceeds to swing 5 into my life, and I go ahead and take that. Nope, I go ahead and 2k counter out of that. Then he swings 6, and I take that one with the Zoro. He attacks me for 8 with the Luffy Taro, and I take the hit. He attaches 4 Dawn into his 1-drop Law and attacking me for 6, and I take the hit. and then he proceeds to tap 6, getting rid of that law that he attacked with, since he's running out of space on board, and plays a Tony Chopper blocker. And then passes for turn. Then it goes back to me. Then I go ahead and restand my 10 Dawn, draw for turn. And right now in this current board state, he has 2 cards in hand. He has 1 card in hand and 0 life. And I go ahead and play Perfume Femur, which makes one of my leader or characters unblockable. Playing around his blocker and then just putting all my Dawn into leader and attacking 15 into life for game. Round 2 was against a black-yellow Luffy, one of the strongest decks, in my opinion, of the format, and specifically counters Dofi. It's a tough matchup because Luffy wants to reach 0 life to then heal 2 5-cost characters that they can then play from life using Kid Sabo and Kid Luffy. These cards also boost your leader by 2k power until the end of the opponent's next turn, which can be very annoying to try to attack into a 9k leader when I have to dedicate 4 Dawn to make a character big enough to even hit them. They can keep boosting the leader to 7 or 9k every turn as long as they have enough cards. I win the Dairo and go first. I draw my first hand and I see I don't have the important cards for the matchup. 7 cost Gravity Blade, Event, and Pudding. So I mulligan for my final hand. Yet again, I see none of the cards. I'm forced to play through it. In my head, the best strategy is to set up 5 characters on board without taking too much of their health so that I can give myself time to find Pudding or Gravity Blade to bottom deck their cards. I was drawing 4 cost cards that I could play onto board, so for the sake of trying to build 5 characters, I'm forced to attack and use leader ability. At the time, I thought it was fine since I should be able to at worst know what card that I'm gonna draw, or at best play a character onto the board. My opponent on the other hand caught on to what was happening, so he played 5 cost yellow power Luffy, which states gain 2000 power until the end of the opponent's turn. Then if you have 1 or more life, trash the top card of your life and draw 1. What this means is that he doesn't need my help to reach 0 life because he can trash his own life while also drawing cards. The situation couldn't be worse because now I have to attack into his life so that he doesn't get the extra draw from Luffy character. So I keep attacking him with leader while trying to build a board, but his character also gets to attack 8k into my characters, which isn't easy for me to counter out. Overall, I got him down to 3 cards in hand, but he was able to keep his Luffy at 9k power for 4 turns and ultimately defeated me. My score is 1-1 now. For round 3, it's against another Dofi leader. The mirror match is insanely difficult because the 4-cost Pudding, which punishes the opponent for having more than 5 cards in hand by shuffling their entire hand and drawing 5 new cards from the top of their deck. So to play around this, you need 2 cost Teach as the card makes your hand go -1. This inherently helps you spam the board with characters you want while keeping your hand size at 5 cards or less, which plays around Pudding. Gravity Blade event, which also helps with removing 2 characters on board, is also incredibly useful in the matchup, but the luck factor is important to consider too, as me nor my opponent are guaranteed to see these cards this round. Both me and my opponent have to play around all these possibilities while also trying to win against each other, and it's an incredibly knowledge heavy and luck dependent matchup. My only option is to get lucky. Now, I don't really remember fully how this match went, but I know I started with a Sengoku and adding a 4-cost Warlord, probably a Crocodile or like a 4th-drop Moria maybe, and my opponent was able to break my board playing a Jozu while building his own. The Jozu is a big deal as establishing it makes it so that I can never remove it unless I play my own Jozu, which if you look at my list, I don't run it because it's a terrible card in Dofi. My other option is to attack into it, which is difficult because it itself is a 7k character, so even a 9k swing isn't enough to get rid of it. He eventually gets my hand low, which is a winning position in the mirror, and just all in attacks my life. My opponent wins the round. Record: 1 win, 2 losses. Now at this point, I'm considering to drop from the tournament because I would have to win my next 2 rounds just to have a chance at getting top 8 and prizing. I already made it this far and there is a chance to place top 8, so there's no reason not to continue. My round 4 opponent is Marshall D Teach leader. Now this matchup technically could be bad for me because Blackbeard has an ability to negate my on-play effects, which technically all of my cards are on-play effects, except for 2-cost Teach. That's the key to winning this match. 2-cost Teach is an active main effect, so I can always use his ability under a Blackbeard leader Floodgate effect. I believe that I went first for this match, and I do my typical Teach play into any character that I can get on board. The important thing is to keep attacking 7k with leader into their leader while playing cards on board. They won't get their on-play effects, but I just need to have characters. I started attaching Dawn to characters while hitting as many 7k swings as I can while using leader ability to play free characters. Eventually, I beat my opponent. The record is now 2 wins, 2 losses. For round 5, my opponent was playing Magellan? This is an incredibly old leader that was completely power cut by the new set cards. My thoughts started going wild. Did he break the deck? What could he be playing? Is he running 5 cost Magellan, reducing my Dawn by 1? There's so many things that could be running. It's the definition of a rogue deck. There is absolutely no knowledge of this deck because of how it's rarely played. But my deck does one thing and one thing well, so I'll stick with my game plan. I win the Darrow and I like to go first. I drew the perfect hand with 2 cost Teach and 4 cost Jinbei. I pass, opponent 2 Dawn, passes. I draw for turn, 3 Dawn. I do Teach Jinbei combo. Jinbei play Weevil, draw a card. My opponent takes the hit off the leader swing. I pass, my opponent draws for turn, 4 Dawn. My opponent plays 2 Gum Lightnings, KOing my 2 characters and returning all 4 Dawn on his board back to the deck. He got rid of my characters, but I'm so confused. Next turn he'll be at 2 Dawn again, which I don't think he wants to be at that low Dawn while facing a Dofi. Regardless, he passes. I draw, go to 5, play a Bow Blocker, look at top 3, stacking card off the top of leader, and attaching Arrested to leader. Use Teach effect, attach 2 Arrested Dawn to leader, attack with leader, use leader ability, and play a character that I stack off of Boa, etc. Honestly, there's not much I can say as I just kept doing that and swinging 7k at leader, eventually beating him and winning the round. Conclusion? I actually managed to go 3 wins, 2 losses, meaning there's a chance that I could top the event, right? Yeah, no, my math was way off or something. My final standing was 17th out of 32, which I'm kind of amazed that I placed that low with a record like that. But I guess since I'm used to local tournaments being 20-ish people, maybe it's harder for X2s like me to get into Top Cut. I don't know, but all in all, I can't say this was the worst run considering the amount of time I had to prepare. I think it was honestly pretty impressive to pull off what I did. And although I didn't win the tournament like I wanted to, I learned a lot about the matchups to the point that I understand the goals of most of the meta decks against my deck. Now, it's just a matter of continuing the grind for the next tournament. After all, I also pulled a $2,000 card. I can't really say I'm mad. I learned that sometimes it's important to give yourself time to truly prepare for high-level events. Even though this isn't the highest level of competitive play, I'm truly thankful for this entire day as it was the funnest day I've had in a long time and insanely productive to my growth as a One Piece TCG player. For those of you who made it this far, thank you so much for watching the video to the end, and please consider dropping a like to help the algorithm and subscribing if you want to be the first to see my new content. I'm planning on making some more content like this, as the One Piece TCG is a card game that I truly love and have been playing consistently since the release of the game 2 years ago. Thank you for watching.